Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you are new here. Today I wanted to make a video talking all about breastfeeding. So if you've been following my channel, then you know I am a new mom. Tomorrow my daughter will be 6 weeks old, so I have been breastfeeding for about 6 weeks. So I just wanted to share everything that I've learned, things that I wish I knew before, like all that kind of stuff, all the products that you need, that kind of thing. So I know there's a lot of information out there about products that you need from before you're pregnant to when you're pregnant to after birth and postpartum and everything. So I want to keep it really simple and just tell you like the basics that you actually need for breastfeeding. Like there are other things that you could use, but what I'm going to show you is like the actual things that you practically will need. So the first thing, you're going to want nursing bras. So I'm going to talk about these again in a minute. Good old nursing bras. The next thing that you are going to definitely need is a nipple cream, a nipple balm. So this one I just got the other day actually from Amazon. Focus. And this one is my favorite. I love this one. This is what it looks like. It kind of has like bumpy things in the formula, and then I think they just kind of dissolve. So I like that one. I would highly recommend that one. I wish I had it in the beginning. This is another good one that I've liked. It's the Lancino Organic. The only reason I got this one was because it was the only option at Walmart. So this is what it looks like. Really similar to Vaseline kind of. That's what it makes me think of. And that one was pretty good. I liked it, but it wasn't, I like the nipple crack a lot better. And then this was another one that I used. The Era Organics Mommy Balm. This one I used completely, but it was like a nice thick, kind of like a body butter, not body butter, like a thick, that kind of consistency. And that one was really nice too, especially in the beginning. So I used this whole thing, so I can't even show you what it looked like. But those are all three good options. The nipple crack is the most affordable, and like I said, I wish I had that one in the beginning because I really do think that it's helped the most. Yeah, you'll need nursing bras, nipple balm, nursing pads, a breast pump, freezer bags for your milk, and a good water bottle. So I have showed this water bottle a few months ago whenever I got it. These are at Walmart. They're pretty cheap, and they are comparable to Yetis, I think, but they're like a tiny percentage of the price. So these are awesome. They keep your water really cold. So if you're like me and you like your water cold, they're great for keeping ice cubes and stuff, and it also keeps stuff warm. So get a good water bottle that's going to encourage you to drink water, and whenever you're feeding, try to drink a bottle of water, like a bottle or something. Try to drink an entire bottle during that feeding so that you're staying hydrated and all that. So drinking water is obviously super important all the time. When you're breastfeeding, you also really want to make sure that you're drinking enough water. Like I said, you'll also need a breast pump. So this, I have the Haka, I think that's how you say it. So sometimes I will put this on when I'm feeding. I know that a lot of moms do that, and then other times I'll just put it on if I feel really full or whatever, or if Scarlett just eats one side and then falls asleep, something like that. So it's super simple to use. You just squeeze it on there. And a lot of moms use this to catch the letdown, so they do use it while they're breastfeeding. But this one is great. I don't have an electric pump, so I don't have anything to say about that. But this has worked for me, and I have a pretty good freezer stash built up, so I would highly recommend this. I'll try to leave as many links as I can to stuff in the description so that you can find this stuff too. Those are like the most essential products that you need. Like there are other things. I know the Body Armor drinks are supposed to be good for helping with your milk supply. There's like mother's milk, there's teas and drinks, different things like that that you can use. Another product that people really like is the Boppy Pillow, and I have one, but for me personally it didn't really help me with breastfeeding. We use the Boppy all the time to put Scarlett in to like sit her on the couch or on the floor or whatever, but I don't use it for breastfeeding. So it's really comfy to sit on and sit against, but for me personally, it might be because my torso is kind of small, it just doesn't really work for feeding her. It just, I don't like it, so I don't use it. But that is another one that a lot of people like, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's essential because you could just use other pillows or blankets that you have at home. So if it's not in the budget, don't worry about it. There are lots of ways that you can still nurse comfortably without getting an actual Boppy, whatever. So those are the products, again, that I would say are the most essential. And I would also recommend bringing nursing pads and nipple balm with you to the hospital. That's something I didn't bring that I regret not bringing looking back. My milk hadn't come in when I was in the hospital, but you're still nursing, so your nipples get they get kind of like dry and like sticky and kind of just uncomfortable. So if I had brought nipple balm, and I thought the hospital would have some, so I think that's why I didn't bring any, but now I know, so I'm gonna bring some next time. But anyway, I'd bring that and nursing pads, just because having the pad in your bra just makes a nice barrier so that you're not sticking to the fabric. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's talk about your milk. So your milk will come in between 2 to 5 days after giving birth. This really just depends on your body. When it comes in, you're like, I remember just my boobs felt like rocks, like they just were like hard, and I like looked at them and I was like, oh my gosh, like they were so big. So when your milk comes in, I don't remember if it really hurt. Like I didn't feel it like oh, my milk came in, but your boobs will get like really hard, like rock solid. So when that happens, I would recommend getting some warm washcloths and put them like on your boobs, and then use your pump and kind of like start getting it out, because you want to make sure that the milk is getting out. You don't want it to stay in there. It can cause infection and it can just be painful. When that happens, that's what I did. I got some warm washcloths and just sat on the couch and tried to get it out, you know, and you could use your baby to have them feed. But yeah, so when your milk comes in, it feels funny. A good way also to get your milk to come in and to keep your supply up is after baby's born, feed every 2 to 3 hours. So even if they're asleep, try to wake them up, get them eating, and that will help with your milk coming in. And then after your milk has come in, it'll help with your supply. Some women some women overproduce a lot in the beginning. I personally haven't, but I know if you ever watched Melena Ciciotti, she made videos back when she first had her baby. Something that worked for her is she put a diaper in her bra overnight, so that caught the milk and she didn't wake up like soaked. So for me personally, I just sleep with nursing pads in my bra and I'm fine. So I don't know, if you're overproducing a lot, then it is actually a good way to start your freezer supply and get that going. But I don't have a ton of tips other than the diaper overnight might help if that's something that you have happening to you. So that's all that I really have to say about overproducing. So as far as getting into a feeding schedule, this is going to depend on your baby. I think at first, so in the beginning, I was trying to feed every 2 or 3 hours, like in the hospital when we came home, because that's what everyone was telling me to do. So that's what we did. And then now Scarlett eats every 3 hours pretty consistently, pretty much on the dot. Wow. She eats just about every 3 hours on the dot. It's like she's got an internal clock, like she's like, I'm hungry. So for her schedule, like it changes day to day, because sometimes she will end up sleeping longer during a nap or whatever. So sometimes she'll go 2 hours between feedings, sometimes 4, but typically it's 3 hours. So I mostly go just based off when she's hungry. So if you want to do that, then you might need to figure out pumping differently. Getting into a schedule of feeding, even if it's not like we're gonna feed at 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, just say every 3 hours. So if your baby starts feeding at 8:30, you want to feed again at 11:30. If they sleep longer, whatever. For me, like Scarlett, if she's asleep, I have a hard time waking her up. Like she doesn't typically wake up all the way, and so then she just ends up sleeping on me, and it's not helpful. So I forgot where I was going with that. But my point in all that was, if you're able to get into more of a schedule during the day of feeding, that will make nighttime easier. So my mom really encouraged me to make sure that I was going every 3 hours, because we were really struggling at night, just not getting much sleep. Or me and her, she was sleeping, you know, but not me. So every 3 hours during the day, 2 to 3 hours, whatever is best for your baby. And once they get older, it will change. So she'll be 6 weeks old tomorrow. Once she's sleeping through the night and all that, I know this will change. But in the beginning, this is what's worked for us. As far as bottles, I don't give her bottles every day. I just give them to her randomly, honestly, but if you're going to do bottles, I would suggest picking maybe a feeding in the morning and a feeding in the evening if you need to adjust it more for work or something. But in the beginning, if you are wanting to get your baby used to a bottle, I would suggest one in the morning, one in the evening. Give them a bottle, and while you're feeding them, pump at the same time so that you're still getting that milk, still keeping your supply up and all that, but they are able to take a bottle. And if you do want to give them a bottle, make sure that the flow is on like preemie or newborn flow, because babies will get really lazy. So if the milk in the bottle is just coming right out super easy, they're not going to want to latch back onto your nipple because it's a lot harder. So make sure that the nipple is not letting out a ton of milk for them, and that is pretty much that. So my best advice for in the very beginning with breastfeeding for clothing wise is to just wear really baggy clothing. For me personally, the first week probably I was either wearing a robe or a button down. I had like a little button down sweater thing, so those are the easiest. Like the first couple days when you come home, if you don't have a robe, I would recommend getting one. Like it just makes everything so much easier. It's much more comfortable, and then just easy access, you know. So I would recommend wearing something that opens in the middle, so whether it's zip, buttons, or a robe, whatever, I would highly recommend that. Eventually you'll get more comfortable and you can just wear, you want to make sure that the shirts are baggy and stretchy enough that you can either pull down or pull up, and there will be room for everything. But in the beginning, that was what was easiest for me. And even still, like if we're going to someone's house or whatever, not that we're really going too many places, but if we were to go somewhere, I'd want to wear something that was just easy to get to, and then you don't want to be messing around with clothes, you know. So that is what I would suggest for that. And then I also did want to talk about nursing bras. I know some people don't personally like them, and I know Aspen, if you've seen her channel, she said that she just wears like normal bras. So if that works for you, that's fine. But in the beginning, I would recommend a nursing bra. Mine are all funky from the washer. I love these ones. So I came in a pack of 5, so they just snap and then, you know, boop. These ones were, I love these. So these are super comfy and super easy to nurse in, and this is the other nursing bra that I have. It's really cute, but I had a harder time with it just because it doesn't fold down as well, and it's like so cute, I didn't want to ruin it or anything. So when you are first starting with nursing, you're probably just going to want to go with like easy, comfortable, and then once you're a more experienced breastfeeder, you can move on to the cuter bras or your old ones if that works for you, bralettes, whatever. So really the bras are going to be a preference, but that's just something to keep in mind. Cuter ones may not be as easy to use, but maybe they will be. Just depends where you get it from. I got both of those on Amazon, and again, I'll try to link them down below. Something else that I wanted to talk about is in the beginning of breastfeeding, it's extremely painful. So this is something I didn't realize. My mom had 5 kids, and so I was the oldest, but so I was around a lot of babies, and I saw her breastfeed, and I didn't know that it hurt. I mean, if they were biting, I knew that it hurt, but I didn't know that breastfeeding in the beginning was painful. So expect it to be painful. I know some women get really cracked, dry nipples and they'll bleed. I never had any bleeding, but I did have some cracking and it was really painful. So you just have to really push through the pain. I would say for me personally, the first 2 to 3 weeks were the most painful. Again, I'll be 6 weeks tomorrow, so like at this point I would say I'm almost pain-free, which is awesome, but it takes a while to get there and it's really hard, so don't give up. Which leads me to my next thing, is having a support system. If you have your mom, mother-in-law, grandma, aunt, some woman that you are close with who has breastfed before, who's gone before and knows what to expect, that can encourage you, give you tips, and just be there to support you, that's gonna make a huge difference. Like before having a baby, like you just learn so much and it puts so much into perspective. One sec. Before personally breastfeeding, I didn't know how much it hurt. So I totally understand why women like don't want to do it. The beginning is really hard. So if your husband, you can have someone that's able to support you and just encourage you. It will eventually get better, but the beginning is really hard. So you might feel like giving up, and I would say that's totally normal, but if you can push through, just do that. If not, do what's best for you and your baby, and don't worry about anyone else's opinion about it. Hi. So I think that is everything that I wanted to share about breastfeeding. So super fitting, Scarlett woke up from her nap and she was hungry, so I'm feeding her now. And I realized I did forget a few things. So one thing is positioning. There are different kinds of ways that you can hold your baby to feed them. You're just going to want to play around and figure out what works for you. So you can look them up online. Your doctor or your nurses in the hospital will probably tell you about them, help you. You will also most likely see a lactation consultant in the hospital, and your hospital should have a line to them or the nurses if you have any questions about anything. But if you have any questions regarding breastfeeding or any issues, you can call them and they should be able to help you. With positioning, you just want to play around and figure out what is comfortable for you and what works for you guys. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was when your milk comes in, like not when it comes in before, like for the first time, like when your milk supply comes in, but when your baby starts feeding, you will feel your milk like start coming in. Like you'll know what I'm talking about when this happens, but it literally is the weirdest feeling ever. So it feels like someone is like pulling really hard, like almost pinching like your nipple and like pulling, and it's like a lot of pressure, and it's really uncomfortable and it's super weird. And it can happen, I feel like it can happen anytime, but it can happen when your baby's crying. I feel like it's happened like if I've just thought about my baby, and it also will happen like when they are eating and start like latching on and stuff. Also, something important that I forgot. When you first start breastfeeding, you need to make sure that you get a good latch. So I don't know all the information on how to do this, but the biggest thing that my mom told me, like she said it a bunch of times, is get as much in their mouth as possible. So you kind of just want to grab your boob and then wait until baby's mouth is open really big and just shove as much in there as possible, because if you don't, it'll be very painful. If they're not latching on correctly, that will lead to a lot of pain. Talk to your nurse, your doctor, someone who can make sure that your latch is good. But if they are hungry and their mouth is open but it's just like if they can kind of cry a little bit and like scream and get their mouth like all the way open, then you kind of want to take their head in your hand and your boob in the other one and shove them together, and that will work out a lot better for both of you. So I think those are the only things that I forgot. I really hope. The biggest thing that I wish I would have known before was that it was gonna hurt, because I just didn't realize that. But you also may not realize like just how special it is. As painful as it is, and sometimes it can be annoying just feeling like you're a cow or something, and like your day will basically revolve around feeding your baby. Like sometimes that can get kind of frustrating and just be like really repetitive, but it's so special. Like having those moments with your baby and that bond and just having all that time together, it's very special, and it's something not to take for granted. So that's something else to think about. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I did post a sticker question on my Instagram story asking if people had questions, so I'm gonna leave that up for a while and do a separate video answering those questions, just because it's only been up for a little while. So I want to get this video out to you guys soon and then answer your questions. So if you have other questions, you can leave them down below and I'll either get them in the video or just respond down there. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe before you leave, and if I forgot anything, please comment down below any other tips or advice that you have, and that would be really appreciated. So thank you guys for watching and have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. You okay?